one. And let me fix the Discord.
Should I be talking now? I don't know.
Yeah, you can talk now.
Oh, okay. Hey, guys, what a great professional intro. Should I be talking now? Yes, I should. I'm talking now. Hey, guys, welcome to the Democratic People's Republic of Gambletown. That's right. Our commissar has seized control. He lost control during his wedding, and now he's ready to throw the tyrannical reins on us all.
He wasn't focused enough. He was focused on the wedding.
Yeah. He was so focused on the wedding.
You know how many assassination attempts failed at that wedding?
Yeah, that Ryan was able to seize control.
Yeah, we gotta get our money back.
So last week was not a good week. We were 6-9 on the week. No parlays hits. Only one person hit their millionaire bet, which is our commissar Tony Martin. Over the last 4 weeks, my 0-5 is really bringing that number down. That bad week. Where are we here? Yeah, we are 29-31, so we're just under 500. So, you know what that means? That means we're due. And we are the most dangerous we have ever been.
Yep. We're going back to the lab.
All right.
Let's get started.
Yeah, let's get started.
Let's start
we did really good too with Thursday night's game.
Dude, we had so many bad beats last week.
Yeah, and then I think we all went almost 100% on Thursday night. So
yeah, and that usually means that we're going to have a good week. I've always felt that.
So let's bounce into it, and let's start with our Saturday night matinee, our Peacock exclusive game. We've got Detroit at Dallas. Dallas 5.5-point home favorites. Money line for Detroit upsets plus 194, and the point total is 52.5. Waleed, start us off.
I'm going to tell you right now, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery rushing overs, both very solid bets. For as good as the Dallas Cowboys seem to be at on defense, they are susceptible. You can run on them. And I want to say they're giving up 4.77 yards per rushing attempt. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs both are guys that I think I like the lines on. It's weird.
Would you play them both together?
Huh?
Would you play them both together or just pick one?
I'll pick one. I mean, I'm going to bet the over on David Montgomery. I'm probably going to bet the over on Jahmyr Gibbs. The David Montgomery line almost made my top 5 bet of the week because he is getting the most rushing attempts for the most part. And I think he's more likely to be the guy who breaks out here. I think Jahmyr Gibbs will be limited in his big plays, but at the same time, Jahmyr Gibbs, the last month of the season, has been a monster. Another guy that's worth pointing out here, Dak Prescott at 283.5. That passing over is a solid line. What do we say here? The Detroit Lions are giving up 8.65 yards per pass attempt. Dak's averaging 36.5 pass attempts. He should project for over 300 yards passing.
Okay.
Having said that, I only really like one bet per team when I make a bet, and my top 5 bet of the week is going to be my number 1 receiver play of the week. That is CeeDee Lamb at over 98.5 yards. That line seems really high until you look at what wide receivers are doing to the Detroit Lions defense.
I thought about it. I thought long and hard about it.
Yeah, I mean, that line was real tough for me, but at the end, I'm like, is this guy an elite talent? Does he have a good quarterback? Has he been producing? Yes. So his line is high. Is this defense giving up a lot of yards? Yes. I'm like, you know what? He's going to get it or he's not. But betting on CeeDee Lamb more often than not is the right choice.
Yeah, and the Lions defense is also giving up like the 3rd or 4th most touchdowns to wide receivers as well. So
yeah. The only reason this wasn't my bet to hit the FanDuel touchdown bonus is because it's a Saturday game and does not qualify. So I'm not doing a parlay on this.
Sure. All right. Anything else?
No, I think that covers it. Oh, that wasn't enough for you, Tony? I gave you 4 strong bets. Not enough for our commissar.
Hey man, sometimes you just keep going, Waleed.
I do keep going. Sometimes I have more. That's the focus. And actually, I do have more, but I know Ryan's going to touch on it, so I'm just going to let him get there.
What do you got, Ryan?
Sure, guys. This week, one of my top 5 bets, Big Ferg, I like his yards, but I went with his receptions for my top 5 at over 4.5. Even his yardage right now is what, 48.5? Seems, yeah, 48.5. That
48
seems
and a
kind of
half
low
is his
for,
yardage.
yeah, for Big Ferg right now. I like his yardage and his receptions. I also like Amon-Ra St. Brown's receptions at 6.5. I have a feeling Lions are just going to be behind like a touchdown the whole game. I'd be shocked if they were playing ahead the whole game. So they're going to have to pass. And St. Brown, he's just getting targets like crazy right now.
As he should be.
Right. And it's 6.5, especially when CD Lambs is at 7.5. You would think they would both be like the same. I mean, Amon-Ra's having just as good of a year as CD Lamb, I think, in my opinion.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they're both top 5 guys.
So that seems like a super value right there, 6.5 for Amon-Ra. I would be leery to bet the CD Lamb 7.5. I would agree with Walid's yards because he could get one catch for like 40 yards, and then just like maybe a handful now, and then he's only at 6 receptions and he's got 100 yards, and you ain't gonna hit that 7.5. Let's see. I do like the over in this game too, as well. What was it, 52.5? Let's see. The Lions right now are 10-5 on overs this year. That's the highest percentage in the NFL. And with both of these high scoring offenses, and the fact, like Waleed said, that Dallas defense started the year really hot, but they're surprisingly haven't been that good against the run lately. So I think both teams have a really good shot to put up a lot of points. So I like the over. And that's about all I got for this one.
Okay. I like that a lot. I actually have a good amount of action in this already. I want to talk really quick about Dallas's pass defense. Dallas is in man at the 3rd highest rate in the league. They're right in the middle of the pack in terms of fantasy points allowed per dropback. Sam Laporta is 11th in the NFL in fantasy points per route run against man coverage. So
Hell yeah.
when you look at the rate that they play it plus Laporta's effectiveness against that coverage, Fantasy Points data projects him to have the highest expected fantasy points per route run this week based on his matchup. So that seems good. So I'm going with that because I like good bets. My millionaire bet of the week is Sam Laporta to hit over 4.5 receptions. So when Dallas plays man, even when they don't, they play with just a single high safety on 2/3 of their snaps. That's the second most in the league. Versus single high safeties, Sam Laporta has a 21% target share. So
nice.
I expect a lot of man coverage. Amon-Ra's a zone merchant more than a man coverage beater. So I really like Sam Laporta this week. That's my millionaire bet of the week. And that's pretty much all I have for this game. I did like Big Ferg a lot. The Lions have a great rush grade, so I actually am putting stuff on the Lamb, Gibbs, and Montgomery plays as well. Hopefully roll into Sunday with a little extra money in the bank. All right, let's talk Sunday. We've got Miami going to Baltimore. Baltimore 3-point home favorites. A Miami road win is plus 142, and the line's 46.5. Ryan, show us what you got.
All right. So I don't think Waddle's playing in this game, and I don't have too much in this game either. As Josh said earlier, just have a feeling that Baltimore's just gonna dominate again, and Miami's just gonna be playing from behind. So I don't really have too much in this game. I do like a Gus Edwards touchdown. I hope he continues to start the streak again. He started it last week with a couple. But other than that, I don't have too much in this game, and I'm not confident in a lot of the stuff to bet on it.
Okay, Waleed.
Yeah, I'm not touching this game. I do think one thing that kind of interests me is Miami getting +3. I think that Miami money line could be a sneaky good play, just because the Ravens are coming off a short week and a big emotional win. So that's the kind of game that teams can drop. At the same time, I don't want to bet against that Baltimore Ravens defense. If there's anyone that can slow down Miami, it's them. So
I
I don't.
Okay.
I actually think the under is also a much more likely play than the over here.
I'd stay
Okay.
away from that +3, Wally. The Dolphins have failed to cover 3 straight games as an underdog, as well as 3 straight games as a road underdog.
Ooh, so take that. I take that back. I was looking at it, but maybe they're due, but more likely than not, they're not, and I'm not going to bet that. I think the under is probably the best bet of this game, though, because Baltimore doesn't really give
Sure.
up points, and
Sure.
Miami's defense is sneakily good the last few weeks. So
Yeah.
So I have a play on this line. Are you guys don't have anything else, do you?
no,
No.
Okay. I had actually taken Baltimore -3.5 for the Degenerates Gambit this week.
Oh, nice.
So there, I don't know if you recall because this happened all the way on Thursday, but there was a stat that popped up against teams that have a winning record in 2023. Baltimore is 6-1 with a +133 point differential.
I did see that. Yeah, they don't just win they don't just beat good teams; they destroy them.
Um, do you guys want to guess how well the Dolphins do against teams with a winning record?
Let's let's
I
let's
already know
hear
it's
it.
bad, just based on
So
what Ryan already said.
So Mike McDaniel in his year, almost 2 years as the coach of the Dolphins, have played 8 teams with a winning record, and they won last week. They beat Dallas. So that's their second win against teams with a winning record. They are 2-6. The last time Miami beat a team with a winning record before last week was Buffalo in week 3 of 2022. So I think the Ravens come in and just absolutely de-pants this team. So I like Ravens. Now that the line's down to 3, I like it. I still like it. I think the Ravens win by at least a touchdown. So because
Okay.
let me tell you what, the reason why the Dolphins can't come from behind is the same reason the 49ers can't come back from behind. Because if you know that they can't run, you can beat them.
Sure.
Yeah.
So all right, so let's move on. I'm excited to watch that game. It's going to be a great game regardless. Let's go New England at Buffalo. Buffalo 14-point home favorites. A Patriots upset +660 on the money line. The total is 40.5. Wally, start us off.
Honestly, I don't really have anything in this game. I think James Cook rushing over might be a nice little bounce back play. 65.5. It's a solid line, but I'm not
New
really
England's a
feeling
good
this
run
game.
defense.
Huh?
New England's a good run defense.
They are. That's the other problem. I'm not feeling this game at all, honestly.
Okay, Ryan?
I feel like since Buffalo's like coming into this game as like the number 1 or 2 like offense in the red zone, like I think Belichick's going to key in on that, and I don't know, probably this game's going to be closer than we think from a
I
defensive
mean,
standpoint.
New England's already
Um,
beaten Buffalo once this year.
They have.
and this is an established rivalry too, both New York teams. Um, so I think this game's going to be really close. So I'm hesitant to bet on a lot of these lines. I will take Buffalo to win, but at -950, I'm not going to straight bet that. I'm not going to pay 10. I'm not going to bet $10 to win 75 cents.
Yeah, right.
But the under might be in play at 40.5
I
because this
agree.
could potentially be like 20-13 or 2017. But I think it's going to be lower scoring than everyone's hoping. Like everyone's hoping that um, Buffalo just balls out and that Josh Allen gets like 50 points for their, playoff championships
Right.
for redraft and shit. Um, but I don't think that's how this is going to go. And as someone who owns Josh Allen in a decent amount of redrafts, kind of
Not
I'm
thrilled.
kind of iffy to watch what happens. Because But other than that,
As a Stephon Diggs owner,
I
I
don't.
agree with you, Ryan.
Yeah, and
Well-
Stephon Diggs too. Just the last like 4 or 5 weeks is getting under like 7 or 8 fantasy points.
But I have
Yeah,
to trust the
he's been
process.
awful.
But I have to sort of trust the process because you know.
All right, here we go. Listen up. It's time to talk my shit. All right.
All right.
I want to start off by saying I have no bets in this game, but
Yeah.
but I want to point out a couple different things. Stephon Diggs has had under 50 yards in 3 straight games, but in those 3 games, he still has 24 targets. So if you like, I was tempted to throw some money on Diggs' receiving over because this screams bounce back, and I'll tell you why. We all herald Bill Belichick's ability to game plan against the opposing team's best offensive asset. But I think we also have to talk about how Joe Brady, since he's taken over as the OC for Buffalo, has targeted the other like his opponent's weakness. James Cook didn't hit last week because they were like, well, we can beat the Chargers through the air, so let's just do that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Stephon Diggs didn't do great 2 weeks ago when they were playing the Cowboys because they were like, well, the Cowboys have been giving up a ton of rushing yards, so why don't we just run the ball? The Patriots are a great defense when it comes to stopping the run. Ton of injuries in the secondary. And they get beat by boundary receivers. So I think that this is a Stephon Diggs week, and I think fantasy managers and gamblers that are still rocking with Diggs are going to be rewarded this week.
Hell yeah.
So
Hell yeah.
I was kind of feeling that too, but I was feeling that last week and it didn't happen. So
I get it, man.
Oh,
I get it.
I will-
But
I will
yeah, just remember though, if Josh Allen decides to set his feet and gets some actual air under that ball that was underthrown and intercepted, that's an 80-yard Stephon Diggs touchdown. So, because he was behind the defense. I don't know if you guys remember that. He was rolling out and just whipped one down the field, and the defender did like a jump catch over his head. Like, if Allen set his feet, that's a long touchdown. We're not having this conversation about Stephon Diggs. So
yeah, I agree.
So I
another.
like Diggs. I don't know how much money I'm putting on it, but I do like Diggs this week. So let's move on.
Hey Josh, we're black.
I will.
Oh, are we?
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Since when?
And you're saying
On the screen.
And you're saying, Wally, that that's a bad thing.
Yeah, racist.
Oh, I'm saying like it's cultural appropriation is what I'm saying.
I will not. I can't be accused of blackface again. We need to move on. All right, we're going Atlanta at Chicago.
I want to say one more thing. One more
please.
thing about that Bills game, though.
Okay.
We got smoked. We got smoked last week on the spread. I think it was, what was it, at 14.5, right?
Yeah.
And I should have seen this, but that makes now the Bills 0-7 against the spread in their past 7 games as a double-digit favorite.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't like
they're
this.
not a double.
So what you're saying is that was a bad top 5 bet of the week for you?
Yeah. I failed to see that. I thought maybe they would break that streak, but it continues.
Yeah, no, I got you. I'm just busting chops there.
All right. So
I don't want to think about last week anymore.
Let's move on to
bad.
potentially the last Justin Fields home game at Soldier Field. Atlanta going to Chicago. Bears are, for some reason, 2.5-point favorites. A Falcons win is plus 128 on the money line, and the total's 37.5. Ryan, what do you got?
I honestly, with this game, I don't have too much. I know you guys have a decent amount of stuff to talk about this game. I don't have too much in this game after last week's horrible betting mishaps on the Bears game. I decided to stay away from this game. What do you guys got?
Yeah, well, last week I did have Justin Fields passing over, and when with 125 passing yards at halftime, I thought I was well on my way, and it turns out I wasn't, because this is why I don't like betting on dumb offensive coordinators. So having said that, I got nothing on this game because it's 2 dumb offensive coordinators.
Okay.
Six of the past 8 Bears games have gone under the total.
Sounds about
I
right.
believe that with the way their defense is playing and the way their offense is playing.
So one of my top 5 bets of the week this week is Bijan Robinson's over at 22.5 receiving yards. I am taking the risk, you guys. I know you don't have to
Okay.
tell me what the risk is. You don't have to fucking tell me like,
Algier. I don't have to say
oh,
Algier.
Arthur
I will
Smith's a
tell you.
fucking idiot. I know all of it. You don't have to tell
No,
me. I know.
what I want to tell you is, honest to God, uh, based on the last 4 weeks, the usage model says that he should double that in the receiving game, especially against the Bears defense that is bad against receiving running backs.
They give up the
So-
most receiving yards to running backs in the league on a per game
Yep.
basis.
Really?
And it's an insane amount. I want to let's see.
Bijan had 10 targets last week. So with Bijan getting listen to this. Let me give you a Bijan tackle breaking stat just because I think it's fun, not for any gambling reason or anything like that.
Just because it's awesome.
Last week, Bijan had exactly six even yards per attempt. That's pretty impressive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had 7.3 yards after contact per attempt.
Really?
Damn.
Whoa!
So-
wait, break
So
this
what
down.
you're saying is this Bijan Robinson guy's pretty good. Maybe Arthur Smith should use him more.
No, they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think that I think Atlanta wins this game. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I think so too.
I think the Bears can stop the run, and I think in order for Atlanta to get first downs, they're going to need to utilize the short passing game, and I think that's Bijan Robinson. But I will say, I lost my semifinals in my big money league by less than a point, and watching Heineke throw late to Bijan in the end zone when he was wide open and the ball got knocked away, I now have a blood vendetta against Taylor Heineke.
I never liked Taylor Heineke, but I will say I'm excited about because I still have the Bears as my number 2 fantasy defense for streaming this week because Taylor Heineke throws interceptable passes, and
He
that
does.
Bears defense loves to intercept it.
You know what I'm excited
I-
about, guys?
What's
Bijan
that?
Robinson's drafts a stock to drop, so next year you could pick him up for a song in his true bounce back year.
If Arthur
I'm
Smith is
so-
back, I think it will affect his ADP.
I'm so excited to see what Bijan can do with Justin Fields. That's all I'm saying.
Dude, that will be disgusting.
It'll be
Yeah.
Deshaun. What are you talking about?
It'll also kind of make me sad because that was what I was dreaming of for Chicago. Like, and
Oh,
it'll
yeah?
be like, oh god, this is exactly what I was like saying would be the best thing ever. Only Atlanta gets it, which will be also my new second favorite team.
No, plot twist, Waleed. The Bears trade for Bijan.
Oh god, that would be so sick.
All right, let's get out of here. Let's blow this pop stand. Tennessee at Houston. Houston, 4.5-point home favorites. Tennessee upset on the money line plus 172. The total is 43.5. Waleed, start us off.
Oh, give me a second here to pull up what I was looking at. I'm gonna tell you. Oh no, wrong game. What was I looking at here?
The
I
Abyss.
want to see something. Yeah, that CJ Stroud line looks kind of interesting to me.
Guess who the
Does-
TH Fantasy Superflex quarterback 2 of the week is?
Oh, would that be CJ Stroud?
Sure would
'Cause
be.
it feels like it should be.
Yep.
Interesting. He's not showing up on my sheet. Where is he? Oh wow. That doesn't seem right. Oh, I get it. I think I know why. His pass attempts are way down because he's been hurt. Okay.
Right.
I don't. I'm not really feeling much in this game, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think Devin Singletary looks kind of interesting to me from a rushing standpoint at 56.5, but at the same time, like, I don't. There's nothing in this game that really pops to me, so I'm
Okay.
probably not betting it.
I like this game.
Do you? Good.
Yes, I like
Then
this
I'll let
game.
you take the floor.
Uh,
I lied. There is one thing I actually really like in this game. That's DeAndre Hopkins over 63.5 receiving yards.
yeah. I really
This
like
matchup.
the
This matchup
Hopkins.
is fire for him.
Yeah. I also like the wide receivers on the Texans as well. They give up, let's see, Titans defense is giving up like 5th or 6th most yards receiving to wide receivers.
Yep.
So I really like Nico Collins this week. His line, where was it at? Nico.
Nico's at
He's at
65.5.
And 65.5 and 4.5 receptions. I like Dalton Schultz. 42.5 seems low for him, especially we still don't have Tank Dell, guys. So this
Going
ball's
Lenny.
gonna get spread around.
We're not gonna.
Yeah. Also Nico Collins, guys. He's averaging, depending on your leagues, between like 35 and 36 fantasy points when he's targeted 9 times or more this year. So Nico Collins. He's gonna have over 100 yards, I think. Let's see. His Nico Collins alternate 100 yards. Do they have it? Do they not have alternate Nico Collins?
They don't have any Nico Collins line up here. Oh, they do. Never mind.
I have his regular line, yeah.
I see his receptions, but I don't see him for alternate.
They have a Noah Brown alternate, but not a. That's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, even Noah Brown in here, guys. He's only at what 40 something.
Yeah, Noah Brown's interesting because
43.
Yeah, but this screams Nico week for me as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be Nico week, and I really like the over too, guys. That is 43.5 seems kind of low, especially when we think that the Texans are gonna put up at least like 27 points.
Is this a rags to riches game to everybody?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
No, this was not one of the rags to riches, but this is an alternate for me, I guess. I think the Houston Texans are going to win. The Titans are 1-8 against the spread in their past 9 games against teams with winning records, so they're going to lose. Yeah, I'd even put -4.5 on Texans for sure. Stroud is back, and Stroud has shown that he can be really awesome. So
he's shown like he is elite.
Yeah, I'm excited for this game.
Okay. So I love Nico Collins. Based on matchup, he's the fantasy points 4th expected in fantasy points per route run. He has 13.5 fantasy points, half PPR in every full game that he's played since week 9. Tennessee gives up the 5th most fantasy points per game to wide receivers. They give up the 5th most yards. They suck. So one of the plays that I really liked early in the week was the receiving line for Chigo Okonkwo.
Oh yeah,
But it got taken down, so it's gone.
Why is he not playing?
I have no idea.
That's weird.
They knew Tony targeted it, and they got to keep their money.
No, well, you know what the problem is that yesterday it was decided that Will Levis is going to play, and that really hurts my Chigo Okonkwo shares. I got to point out though that Chig last week with Tanny at quarterback had his season highs in catches, yards, and his only touchdown of the season, even though Tannehill didn't throw that touchdown pass.
Yeah.
If Derrick Henry becomes the starting quarterback for Tennessee, Chigo Okonkwo becomes a must start.
Absolutely.
Chig has 36 or more yards receiving in 5 straight games. He's been averaging 50.4 yards in that time span. Houston is a great matchup for tight ends, but with Will Levis, Will Levis literally looks at one receiver, and
which is why I like Hopkins.
Unless you're running 25 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, Will Levis can't see you. So it's like a T-Rex. All right, let's get the hell out of here. Let's go to a game that's got some definite sneaky fun potential.
Ooh.
Indy and the Raiders.
There's some stuff I like in this game.
The Colts are 3.5-point favorites. A Raiders road wins plus 162 on the money line. The total's 42.5. Ryan, what do you got?
All right, guys. The Raiders are 6-1 against the spread in the last 7 games after hiring Pierce.
Dude, I'll tell you what, man. I think that I don't like the problem with being forced to keep Pierce is you can't force a GM to just stick with him. But I kind of feel like you just say, look, guy, find a GM who might be amenable and be like, just give him a year. And if it doesn't work next year, be willing to move on. You got something that's working. Stick with it, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I think the Colts do win. Maybe it's by something crazy. They only win by a couple points, but I think Raiders will cover because the Colts need a win desperately to. I
Yeah,
think what are
they're
they?
still in the
Yeah, they
playoff
gotta.
hunts.
Right,
Yeah.
they're in the hunt because Jaguars kind of started falling off. But I'm all over Devontae Adams in this game. Devontae Adams is going for another 1,000-yard season. He's only like 30 yards away or something like that. He also has a touchdown in each of his last 3 career games against the Colts. So maybe a Devontae Adams touchdown. I know the Colts are since like week I don't know, so like 7 or 8, they've been pretty good against receivers. In fact, let's see. Yeah, they haven't given up a 100-yard performance to receiver since week 8. But it's Devontae Adams. So one of my top 5 bets of the week is Devontae Adams over 5.5 receptions. Like I said, I think this game is going to be really close. Colts eventually win, but that just means that the Raiders are going to have to keep finding their best man on the field to catch the ball. That's about all I got for this one.
Okay. Waleed.
So I want to throw out a Devontae Adams line for you guys here. The Indianapolis Colts are giving up over 10.5 yards per target to wide receivers lined up wide. Adams is averaging 7 targets lined up out wide. Just based on him being lined up out wide, he should hit. He projects to be over what his line is right now. Devontae Adams was almost one of my top 5 bets of the week. I just ended up going up in a different direction, but he is one of my favorite plays of the
Yeah.
week. On the flip
He's
side of
prime,
that, Michael Pittman's line at 74.5 is still kind of low. I know that he's been hurt, but before he was hurt, he was the best receiver in football. Like, just statistically, he was crushing it.
Even Pittman's reception line at 6.5, I think I might do that in a parlay somewhere.
Yeah, he's averaging 9 targets a game out wide, and while
Right.
the Raiders aren't giving up as much, he's still a very strong matchup this week. I want to say from my usage model, he's top 10 in projected points. So
Sure.
I'm a big
Okay.
fan of Michael Pittman this week.
They didn't have it last night, but they just added this morning the Zamir White line. It's at 74.5.
And that tells me that what's his name is not going to be playing.
Yep, Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs.
Yep.
I was about to just get to that too. That this matchup is a really good one for Zamir White. That line is a little bit high for me, which is why I'm not betting it, but he's the DFS play that I think I like at its price.
I agree.
Oh,
He's
by
a
the
discount
way,
play for sure.
let's see. By the way, Waleed, a Raiders defensive touchdown right now is plus 800.
Yep.
So they've had multiple defensive touchdowns in each of the past 2 weeks. If they do it again this week, it'll be an NFL record for consecutive games with multiple defensive touchdowns.
That would kick ass. That could be a fun bet.
3 weeks in a row.
And the Colts are merchants of chaos, so remember that.
Right. Oh, and it would have sorry, Waleed. So yeah, it's not multiple one touchdown. So it's multiple defensive touchdowns. So they've had 2 or more defensive touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. That's right. So they'd have to get 2 this week. So what's the odds on 2 touchdowns for the defense?
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
What's going on here?
What am I gonna do here? Yeah, I'm looking at this and I'm kind of adjusting some stuff.
My phone's freaking out. What's going
on?
Well,
while we're to avoid dead air, let me talk a little bit about what I have here. Myers and Adams are tied in fantasy points per route run against zone. Colts are in the zone at the highest rate in the league. Devontae Adams is tied for first in the NFL with 130 first read targets. He's good, folks. I actually don't mind looking at rushing props from an Indianapolis perspective with Taylor at 74.5. The Colts have the 5th most rushing yards on zone runs this year, and Las Vegas gives up the 10th most rush yards to zone runs. So it's a matchup advantage for Jonathan Taylor as well as Zamir White. But I don't have any like charted bets on this game.
Sure. By the way, guys, that Las Vegas defensive 2 touchdown bet is plus 12,000. I just put $1 on it to win $120.
Okay, yeah, I'm doing
Are
a couple of dollar bets right here for those because you
Let's
know
hope
me, I
that
love
the
a defensive
NFL,
touchdown
yeah.
bet.
All right.
Let's hope that they get 2 touchdowns.
All right, let's move on. We've got the Rams going to New York and play the Giants. Rams are 6-point road favorites. A Giants home wins plus 210 on the money line, and the total is 43.5. Waleed.
Hold on, let me catch up here.
Well, I know you guys got stuff on Kyron Williams.
Yeah, I'm going to say my favorite player of the week is Kyron Williams. He's not just one of my favorite rushing plays. I also like his receiving over. I like his play so much that my same game parlay of the week is Kyron Williams over 110 rushing yards. That's the one I feel a little bit like I would have preferred to put it at 100, but because FanDuel has that touchdown promotion, I wanted to bump this over plus 400, and I wasn't able to do anything with his alternate receiving yards, unfortunately. They don't have an alternate receiving yard line for Kyron, which sucks, because I actually think he projects to get about 40 receiving yards this week.
Okay.
So I wouldn't have minded kicking that up to 20 and then keeping my rushing total around 100. If you can do that, I recommend doing 100. If you can find an alternate receiving line for Kyron anywhere, try to get a parlay with that, the 2.5 receptions and 100 yards rushing to get those odds. You'll be in a really good spot. But 110 yards rushing, 2.5 receptions, and 15.5 receiving yards for Kyron. $10 at 403 pays out $50.40. This is Kyron Williams is my number one like fantasy play of the week. Just that like he has the best matchup by far of anyone.
Hell yeah.
So I'm all over this.
Okay. Ryan?
So Nakua's been kind of banged up all week, so I think they're gonna play him a little bit lighter this week. So I like Cup over Nakua in this game as we've been like playing the Nakua Cup game like all year, who to start or who's gonna have the better game. I think this is gonna be a Cup game. So I like his over at 66.5 right now. I also like Tyler Higbee. 2.5 receptions, 23.5 yards. I like those lines for Higbee this week. I think that the Giants are not going to go away strong, and they're going to put some good rush pressure in this game. So they might have to check down a decent amount, which will also help Kyron Williams. But also a Kyron Williams touchdown. And I also have the Rams to win this week. Other than that, I don't have too much.
Okay. I love Kyron this week. Kyron's rushing over at 91.5. One of my top 5 bets of the week. The Rams are 9th in yards before contact per attempt on runs. The Giants give up the 5th most yards before contact on runs. The Rams primarily run a man blocking scheme on their rush plays. They are 4th in the NFL in rushing yards from man/gap rush plays. The Giants give up the 5th most yards in the league on that type of run. So this is a smash matchup. There's 2 more matchups I like better than that, and we'll talk about them as those games come up. So,
okay, can I throw out some more data on Kyron here? I want to point out that the New York Giants are giving up 4.4 yards per rushing attempt overall. Kyron averages over the last 4 weeks 23.75 attempts. Like that's over. Like just if he hits the flat median, he's projecting over 100 rushing yards, and that doesn't take into account potential big plays that he could have, which this Giants defense gives up big plays to the running back. From a receiving yards total, he is where are we at? Hold on, let me pull up this real quick. He is averaging about 4 targets per game. He projects as the number 1 receiving target over the last 4 weeks based on this Giants matchup. He should get he projects at 4,200 yards. One bet I was actually kind of looking at here that I thought would be interesting was the 111.5 rushing plus receiving total for Kyron, because Kyron's going to be a nightmare for the Giants. It's going to go through him. That's the matchup. And one thing I like about McVay is he is very good at attacking the weakness of a defense.
Yep. So Kyron Williams is the third lowest in the league in terms of how many of his runs get stuffed. Minimum 50 carries, only 37% of his runs get stopped within the first 2 yards. He is also fifth in the league in yards before contact per attempt. So Kyron can create when he gets the ball, but also we're looking at a tremendous blocking advantage for the Rams side and a tremendous run stopping disadvantage for the Giants side. So Kyron is one of my bets of the week. One of my degenerate gambit plays was I took the Rams when it was 5.5. I would still take it at 6.
Yeah.
I started out by saying when the Rams are healthy, they're one of the most dangerous teams in the league. The Rams are healthy. When the Giants play football, they're one of the worst teams in the league. The Giants are playing football. So I think the Rams are on an absolute heater right now. And I think that even if the Giants play their best game, it's still a touchdown game separating these two. So Rams at 6, totally fine. I'd see you taking it. It's minus 105. Wouldn't be mad at you if you took it at 6.5. I don't think there's a touchdown separating these two teams. All right.
Yeah, I think this is a double-digit win personally.
I agree. All right. Let's talk about another potentially double-digit win. We've got San Francisco going to Washington. The 49ers are 14-point road favorites. A Washington home wins plus 660. The line is 49.5. Ryan, start us off.
All right, guys, this is going to be an awesome game. All right. So I like the Niners minus 14. The 49ers have covered 4 straight games on the road and 4 straight as road favorites. And they're the 49ers. They're going to blow out Washington. Washington's going to score a lot too, so which is why I like the over at 49.5. Seems kind of low. I figured this game would be more around 52 or 51.5. Just because of the way these offenses have slang the football and just the way the Niners and Shanahan's offense is doing this year. So I really like the minus 14. I like the over 49.5. Guys, this is also a Christian McCaffrey game. All right.
Woo!
Look, he has a chance right now. Well, first I like his line at over 90.5 yards rushing. But he has a chance right now to do something that nobody's ever done, because the NFL record right now is 23 touchdowns. And if you listen to TH Fantasy, you'll have heard a lot of Jerry Rice's records, but his touchdown record of 23 touchdowns with the San Francisco 49ers, Christian McCaffrey has a chance to beat that this week. If he gets 3 touchdowns, he has 24 and now is the new 49ers season touchdown catcher record, or just score record. So that's the reason that my millionaire bet this week is Christian McCaffrey 3 touchdowns. He's just gonna run all over this team. It's gonna be brutal, and I'm gonna enjoy watching it. So anything with Christian McCaffrey, his yards, his touchdowns, you're not going to get a lot of money if you want to just bet him for 1 touchdown. It's like minus 300 right now. Even 2 touchdowns is plus 125. So
Which
I got
tells
him
you
at
a lot.
3. Yeah. So I got him at, so yeah, it says that Vegas knows he's going to score 3 touchdowns and break that Jerry Rice record. So Christian McCaffrey this week, anything with him, loving it. The over, the minus 14. Let's get it. This is going to be a good game.
All right.
Lots
Wally.
of points.
As much as I like rushing props in this game, let me tell you, do I love betting on receivers against the Washington Commanders. I think Debo and Brandon Ayuk are both really interesting plays here for overs. I also think the Brock Purdy over 271.5 passing over seems like it could be a really solid play. The Washington Commanders, man, they are giving up big plays. Like they give up the second most yards to wide receivers. They give up, what do they give up to quarterbacks here? I want to say they give up the third most, and I would be right.
Yep.
So I think there's
sorry.
a lot you could bet on this. I'm debating whether I want to make my last parlay like a Brock Purdy, Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk kind of combination.
Right.
Just because I really think there's going to be a lot of receiving yards. But I also agree about the Christian McCaffrey thing. It's one of the reasons why it's hard to bet on 49ers players because you don't know who's going to have the big week. And it just feels like someone's going to. And I think that the 49ers are going to come out here and they're going to want to hurt the Commanders after what happened to them last week. So
Right. By the way, guys, yesterday, the Christian McCaffrey 3 touchdown line was at 550. I just checked now. It's at 500. So he's going to get his 3 touchdowns. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 475 tomorrow morning or something.
Okay. I, by the way, this may shock you. I'm also super in on Christian McCaffrey this week. 49ers are a zone rush team, second most rushing yards on zone handoffs. Washington allows the 8th most rushing yards from zone handoffs. They allow over 850 rushing yards on that. Christian McCaffrey, good at football, even with a 90-yard rushing line at 90.5. It's an easy play. So one of my top 5 bets of the week is over 90.5 rushing yards. And then my same game parlay is that rushing prop in anytime touchdown from CMC and the 49ers to cover 14. And that's plus 208. So $10 down would win me $30 back.
It's not a bad bet.
It's both of my parlays this week are like yours, Waleed, where I'm just betting on one player to take his opponent to the absolute fucking cleaners. And I want to point out something about your receiving props real quick. Since Washington fired noted January 6th apologist Jack Del Rio, they have shifted to a 2-high safety defense. They play 2-high safety on 68% of their snaps, which is highest in the league. Now, on games where Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle are all playing against 2-high safety looks, Debo gets 39% of the first read targets. Ayuk gets 23.
Interesting. So basically, it's going to be a Debo week.
I believe it's going to be a Debo week. I will be throwing a couple bucks on Debo's receiving over. It's hard for me to trust Ayuk's 68 because he's either going to go for 26,
110 or 50.
Right. So I like Debo because they do a short little pass to Debo. He can get you that 60 yards on his own.
Just some pure yak, and I think this matchup definitely favors him.
The TH Fantasy podcast, whenever we talk about old-timey football, I always like to wonder how many 1920s football players would it take to tackle Debo Samuel on a jet sweep?
The answer is all of them.
Yeah, probably like 10 or 15, I would assume. And the first one, he would turn into a fine red mist.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. We are going with the battle of some 90s expansion teams. We got Carolina going to Jacksonville. Jacksonville, 4.5-point home favorites. Carolina win on the road plus 188 on the money line. The total's 36.5. Waleed, start us off.
That Chuba Hubbard over 65.5 looks kind of interesting, but I felt like I was burned last week, so I don't want to touch anything there. I also want to say that the Tommy Treble line was kind of intriguing to me.
That's right.
Ryan.
Yeah, no, because I'm trying to say, there was something about the tight end matchup for Jacksonville, but if I'm being honest, the only thing I'm really betting here is going to be the Evan Ingram over 48.5 receiving yards. From the usage model, he is the number one play, and honestly, he had a good game the one time he had to play with Trevor Lawrence's backup, whose name I cannot remember.
True, it's CJ Beathard.
Oh, Beathard.
Yeah. It's Beathard, but it's way more fun to say Beathard.
Yeah, guys, it sucks that Lawrence isn't going to play this game, but in all honesty, they should be keeping him out. It just sucks because
they should have kept him out 2 weeks ago.
I know.
Yeah.
And now he's out in this game where they absolutely need to win and need to have the Texans and the Colts lose to somehow. Okay, so I forgot that the Jaguars haven't won in December. They need to win. They're 0-4 in December right now, but
That's
somehow they
nuts.
still have a playoff chance. So they need the Texans and the Colts to lose, and they need to win tomorrow. And then I think something will have to happen next week in order for them to get in. But um, so I'm hesitant to bet on a lot of this stuff. I will say, um, let's see that
So before you go,
let's
because
see.
I'm going to say something real quick about Tommy Tremble.
Sure.
His on a usage model here, he projects for like 40 yards receiving based on my usage model. This
Yeah,
is a good matchup for him, and that
he
line
is
at 14.5 is incredibly low.
right. He's my second mid-tier kind of shitty tight end of the week for TH Fantasy this week at 4,800 in DFS. He had like 6 targets last week and 14.5, that's 2 catches, if not one, you know. So yeah, I really like Tommy Trumbull this week. That just seems like an easy way to bet that. And I mean, let's see. Another thing I like is the under. 7 of the past 9 Carolina games have gone under. And like I said, we've got CJ Beathard playing and a Carolina offense that's kind of fizzled out. And Jaguars offense, who's going to really be reliant on Travis Etienne. So maybe Etienne's line too. What's Etienne's line?
59.5.
Yeah.
That seems kind of low for a team that's going to have to rely on their run game a lot in this. I feel.
Yeah, that's an incredibly low line when you consider the fact that the
Yeah,
Carolina Panthers' run defense is one of the worst in football.
yeah,
ETN,
right. I'm going to smash Etienne's line too. I don't think he's hurt or anything,
yeah, I'm kind of looking here. I'm
or
trying
like,
to see.
or like, I don't think he's dealing with any nagging issues.
Yeah, but he's
I
not
mean,
been getting. He's only been averaging about 10 rushing attempts per game the last month of the season.
but that's because Jaguars are 0-4 in December. They've been playing from behind the whole game. They haven't had to run a lot.
Yeah. You know, one line that looks really interesting to me is this Bryce Young at 181.5. The Jacksonville Jaguars gave up the 4th most passing yards to opposing quarterbacks. That line is incredibly low. Like on this matchup, Bryce Young should project for about 250 passing yards, and he has been playing better
Okay.
the last few weeks of the season. I think there's some value there. I don't think I'm going to bet this because I think there is better spots to bet. But if you were kind of thinking about that Bryce Young, it's like, is that line too low? I would say yes, it is.
Sure.
Okay. I just put together a little 4-leg parlay here for $1 because it's whatever.
Okay.
But these are 4 things that I like together, and it's going to actually get you insane odds at plus
Really?
1756.
Oh,
So,
you got my
All right,
attention.
I got to get
so
in
I
on
love
this.
so I love the ETN over at 59.5. I like
Okay.
Chuba's rushing over at 65.5. Jacksonville over the last 4 has allowed 143 yards to opposing backfields.
Okay.
Hubbard with 17 touches in 5 straight games. All about it. So 2 rushing overs. I'm taking the under at 36.5. And then to spice it up, I'm taking Carolina to win straight up.
Oh shit,
Oh,
you non-Jacksonville believer. I
I'll
hate
be
Absolutely
you.
not.
honest. Yeah, I mean, you're getting good odds, but you're also like ending your friendship with Ryan.
Right.
It's fine.
Are you ready
17
for
bucks.
this to be Are you ready for this to be over? Like
17 bucks. Do the same. You would throw me down a fucking well for $17 on FanDuel. So don't even come at me with that shit.
guys, I'm
Um,
sorry, but this is the last week of Gambletown. This will be our final episode.
Ryan's
Um,
retiring.
I'm retiring.
All right. Well, don't retire until
No,
the show's over
I'm
because
gonna
you still got
no,
shit
I'm
to do.
just kidding. I'm gonna still I'll still put $1 on it, guys.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on. We are going to Philadelphia against Arizona. Arizona are going to Philadelphia as 11.5-point road underdogs. A Cardinals win would be plus 500, and the line is 48 even. Ryan, go off, King.
All right, so let's see. This game I got a decent amount. Okay, McBride. Let's talk McBride for a second. All right, I got to see him firsthand last week at the Bears game. And this guy is a monster. It's like every 3 plays, me and Tony were looking over at each other and like, McBride, yeah. He
He
was
was
just
open.
catching, yeah, he's just catching a bunch of shit. Um, he's averaging like 8 or 9 catches a game over the last 5, 6 weeks, something like that. So his one of my top 5 bets of the week is his over at 6.5 receptions. He's going to be targeted huge in this game. And I actually think this game is going to be pretty crazy too. Might be pretty close. Bears defense has been pretty stout, and Arizona was able to put up 16 points, a couple touchdowns last week on the Bears. And with the way Philly's secondary has been, I think that Arizona has a chance to do a little bit better against Philly this week. I still think Philly's going to win, but I'd be hesitant to bet the minus 11.5. So I think this game's going to be really close. Like I said, top 5 McBride. Also one of my same game parlays because I really like AJ Brown this week too. It's going to be an AJ Brown week to help me back in some redraft leagues. I like AJ Brown's over at 84.5. So I'm pairing that with Jalen Hurts tush push touchdown and AJ Brown over in reception yards, 84.5, and McBride's over in 6.5 receptions. That's plus 366. I put 10 units down on that to win a little over $40, like 43 and some change. What else we got? Let's see. Yeah, another reason to not bet that minus 11.5. The Eagles are 0-8 against their spread in their past 7 games in December. Yeah, just a
Okay.
little history for you.
There you go.
Yeah, what do you guys got?
Waleed?
So I will say that AJ Brown is my number 8 receiver on the week from the usage model. He projects to get like some pretty good looks. This is a good matchup for him. But it's not nearly as good a matchup as it is for Trey McBride. Trey McBride, I'm really like that line at 68.5 feels really high until I look at the actual production numbers and I'm like,
Right.
oh no, that's the right line.
Yeah.
Like Trey McBride has been a monster, and he's my number 2 projected. He projects for 82 yards based on my model. So I love Trey McBride this week. I also think both passing lines for both Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray. I think there's value to be taken on both of those overs, which makes me think that I kind of like the over on this game, even though it's high at 48. I think James Conner and DeAndre Swift are also smash matchups on their rushing over 55.5. Here's the thing about the Eagles. They're not as good at defending the run as they were in the first half of the season. And James Conner, man, he looks 5 years younger. He looks really good running the football. The Bears are one of the best run defenses in football, and James Conner went off on them. DeAndre Swift, also against one of the worst run defenses. This is a top 5 matchup for me with Swift.
I'll get there, baby.
I'll let you cover Swift, but I think there's a lot to like in this game from a betting standpoint.
I agree. All right, you ready for me?
Yeah, go on.
DeAndre Swift over 66.5 rushing yards. Absolute smash. Absolute smash. Philadelphia's offense, second in yards before contact per rush. Arizona defense, most yards allowed before contact per rush. Swift has had 20 touch weeks back to back. Kenneth Gainwell is chewing in, but that's game script dependent. So when they're playing with the lead, it's going to be DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift this year is 3rd in the NFL in yards gained on zone runs, and Arizona allows the most rush yards against zone runs. This is set up to be an absolute torching by DeAndre Swift. He's going to be a league winner or matchup winner for you this week. So hang on, I had something. Yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah, so I also have Philly at 11.5 for Degenerates Gambit. The Eagles have not played their best football over the last 4 weeks, but Arizona hasn't really played good football all year. So I see Philly getting out to a big lead early, and Arizona's inability to stop the run is going to keep this game a 2-score game. So I like the Eagles to cover 11.5. But more than anything, I like DeAndre Swift's rushing line. I also want to sneak in Kyler Murray's rushing line at 27.5. Philly is a bad defense when it comes to stopping quarterback runs. They are bottom 6 in defensive success rate against quarterback runs. They are last in EPA, so expected points added per play versus scrambles. So I think the 27.5 line for Kyler Murray is good. I threw a couple bucks on that because I definitely think that's something worth playing as well. But my number one play from this game is the DeAndre Swift rushing over. He is one of my favorite plays this week.
This almost made my top 5. I like it too. I think also that Kenneth Gainwell at 19.5 rushing line is not a bad play. I think the DeAndre Swift line is a lot stronger because Kenneth Gainwell is only averaging about 4.5 carries per attempt over the last month. But the Arizona Cardinals are giving up 5.25 per rush attempt. Like, that is the worst in the league over the last month. Like, they are the worst run defense, and the Eagles want to run the football. So this is just going to be a massacre.
Yep. All right. Let's move on. We are going Buccaneers hosting the Saints. Baker's Boys, 2.5-point home favorites. A Saints road win plus 118. The line's 42.5. Waleed.
Where am I here? Sorry, I'm trying to catch up. This is a game, I got to tell you, one of my top 5 bets of the week here. Rachaad White at 62.5. That line is actually incredibly low, and it might not feel it. The Saints' run defense has been progressively getting worse as the season goes on. And Rachaad White is averaging 21.5 carries per game. Rachaad White is the number 2 from the usage model. He's the number 2 running back of the week on my list, which is why he beat out DeAndre Swift for me. At 4.25 yards per attempt in 21, he projects for over 90 yards rushing. So I'm getting like a 50% like cushion here with this. I remember a few weeks ago I was hesitant to put money on Rachaad White, and then I looked in another good matchup, and he came in and he just destroyed the opposing team. So I'm going to trust him because I think the Bucs are honestly they're the best team in the NFC South, which is not saying much. But they actually look good from an offensive standpoint. Like Baker's legit.
Yeah, they're on a 4-game win streak right now.
Yeah, the only problem they have is their secondary's trash, which is why that Olave over looks real interesting.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Bucs give up the most receiving yards to opposing receivers. So Rashid Shaheed at 36.5 and Olave at 70.5 are both lines I really like this week.
Okay.
Yeah,
Ryan.
guys, this game's going to be a shootout. All right. One of my top 5 bets of the week is the over at 42.5. Like we just said, like Bucs defense giving up a lot of points to wide receivers and offenses. And on the other side too, New Orleans giving up a decent amount of stuff. And here we are in late December talking about the Bucs making the playoffs. If they win this game, they're going to clinch the NFC South. And right now, Baker Mayfield is going crazy. If Baker Mayfield throws one more touchdown pass, he's going to tie his rookie year where he threw 27 touchdowns. And I think he's going to get more than one touchdown pass, obviously, in this game. This is going to be his career best year for touchdowns, obviously. He's going to have I think 2 or 3 at least in this game. Him and Evans, the touchdown connection for this year for 13 touchdowns, that's tied for 6th all time in NFL history for a wide receiver duo in their first year together. So
awesome.
if he gets, I don't know what it'll be, if it'll be 14, but Baker's on a tear this year. I think Bucs take the NFC South this year. I'm taking the over at 42.5. I like a lot of these lines. since I'm thinking this is going to be an over game, I'm taking Baker's over at 228.5. Are you kidding me? That's low for this game. And I'm taking Derek Carr's over at 245.5. Derek Carr has gotten over 20 fantasy points the last like 2 weeks. He has 6 touchdowns in his last 2 games. It seems like he's starting to get his wits together about what's going on with this offense. I know Tony and Shane will make fun of me, but Derek Carr is finally coming into his light with this offense.
You just
I
can't
really
quit
like.
Derek Carr, is what you're saying.
It's an abusive relationship.
And since Baker's going to be putting up a lot of points, that means Derek Carr's going to have to pass a lot. So I like Kamara's over at 4.5 receptions. As we saw last week, Kamara until the fourth quarter had 1 reception, and then on one drive he had 4, and then hit his over. So he's going to easily get over 4.5 receptions this year, especially playing from behind. Sorry, this week. I like Olave. One guy I really like this week as my TH Fantasy mid-tier kind of shitty tight end of the week, Juwan Johnson. His reception line right now is 1.5. I mean, it's super juiced, but it's 1.5, and his line is 20.5 yards. The guy had 6 catches on 9 targets last week. Yeah, he's gonna get at least 2 catches, and that'll be for over 25 yards. I like that. But this was my shits to riches game of the week as well this week. So I have a feeling this game is priced low at 42.5, but is probably going to be one of the higher scoring games in this week's slate with all 14 games on Sunday. Yeah.
I love this game too. There's a lot going on here. Baker, we like Baker. Baker has thrown 9 touchdowns in his last 3. He's been the last time he played the Saints, he put up 246, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and 31 rushing yards. In those last 7 games, Mike Evans has averaged 9 targets per game and scored 8 touchdowns. So put that in your pipe and huff it.
I'm kind of looking at that Baker over 6.5 rushing yards after you said that. Like, that's an interesting one. That's a scramble for him.
Yep. Derek Carr is also a crush start. The Bucs have allowed the 5th most passing yards per game since week 10. Olave should smash too. Tampa Bay is a high blitz team. Derek Carr has the 4th highest ADOT when blitzed. Olave is 3rd in the league in yards per route run among all wide receivers with 50 or more targets who have been during plays where there's a blitz. So Tampa Bay starting multiple backups in the secondary. I don't mind Rashid Shaheed as a DFS, like maybe like a whatever play, like kind of switch up the vibes a little bit, like a sneaky. I'm trying to figure out the word. I don't know, like a play, not a common play. So if you want exposure to this game and you don't want a ton of ownership, Shaheed might be fun. I think Olave is going to be great. I think Mike Evans crushes. I think Baker crushes. I think Derek Carr crushes. I think there's a ton of points in this game. So
I agree.
All right, let's get the hell out of here. We're going to Seattle. We got Pittsburgh going to Seattle. Seattle 4.5-point home favorites. A Steelers upset is plus 176, and the line is 41.5. So, Ryan, what do you got?
All right, guys. I don't have too much in this game. I'm thinking Seattle wins, which means that Pickens should have probably another game. And with his reception total only at like 3.5 right now, I like that one. Especially if Mason Rudolph's still playing. Because as we saw last week, Pickens just gels with Mason Rudolph. So 3.5 seems low for his reception line for someone that will probably have 5 or more catches. I really like the under in this game. Let's see. Seattle so 5 of the past 6 Seattle Seahawks games when they're playing AFC opponents have gone under the total. This could be another crazy game, another like sorry, not a crazy game. It'd be an uncrazy game. I do like Najee Harris though, against Seattle's porous run defense. Najee Harris seems like he's starting to get, I don't know, maybe he wasn't healthy in the middle of the season or something, but they're starting to rely on him more in the run game, and Warren's just starting to go back to his pass down, catch back role.
Najee Harris only wakes up for the fantasy playoffs.
Yeah, right.
Yep. So I like Najee Harris touchdown, and I like Najee Harris's over for rush yards. But I don't have, other than that, I don't have too much in this game.
Wally?
There's a lot I like in this game. You guys, I'll let you guys get into Najee a little bit more because I know Tony likes him also. The guy I like the most this week, I think, Jackson Smith and Jigba at 43.5. That line is real low, and this is a real strong matchup for him. I also think this is a Tyler Lockett week at 52.5. That line is pretty low.
Really?
From the usage model, it likes DK the least of the three receivers this week, and a lot of the coverage matchups also lean towards Jackson Smith and Jigba and Tyler Lockett being the guy. I also think that passing over for Geno at 240.5, you can pass on the Steelers. There's some value there. I will probably not touch the Geno line because I'm only going to take one line from a team. That's how I always bet. What is the most likely thing to happen? And I think that Jackson Smith and Jigba receiving over is the smash play of this week. On the flip side, Najee Harris, that rushing over, I hadn't looked that closely at it until just now, and my usage model just loves Najee. Like he should get a 50. He has like a 50% cushion on you, which is always a plus for me when I see a guy's getting a lot of usage and he's going up against a run defense that gives up 4.86 yards per rushing attempt. That's almost 5 yards a touch. Yep. That's an insane line. That's 10 carries for Najee, and he has that over.
Yep.
And on that, I'm out.
All right. So Najee Harris's 52.5 rushing yards is one of my top 5 bets of the week. Last week, Najee tied his season high in touches against Cincinnati. He had over 70% of the team's rushing attempts. 100% of their red zone are inside the 5 carries. Since week 9, Seattle has the third most fantasy points per game allowed to running backs, second highest yards per attempt to running backs, second most rush touchdowns. We got us a run funnel defense in Seattle. Pittsburgh 7th in rush yards gained on man blocks with 712. Seattle allows the 7th most yards on that type of run play. So we got 2 top 7 matchups here. So Seattle gives up the 4th highest rate of explosive rushes. Those are rushes that go for 15 or more yards on 5.8% of carries. They allow a breakout run. So you're like, man, that seems like Jaylen Warren. And to be honest with you, Jaylen Warren is 4th in the NFL in explosive rush rate. So on 7.1% of his carries, he gets that 15 or more yard run. And for all the shit that we talk about Najee Harris, he's 9th in the league in explosive carries with 5.9% of his rushes going for that.
And I think it's worth noting, Jaylen Warren's averaging 8.5 yards per rush attempt, 8.5 rush attempts per game. So that's 34.5 line with the explosive rate that Tony was mentioning.
So I will say one of the things that I like to do throughout the year is chart where my wins come from, what data it is that I'm looking at that leads me to those successful bets. And one of the first bets that hopped out last week that I made was Breece Hall's over at longest run, which was 18.5 yards, because of the explosive rush rate allowed by the Cleveland defense. And that was the first play of my 4 wins. That was the first one that hit. So I'm liking
that happened pretty quick too. Yeah,
it sure did. I really like looking at explosive rushes as something that gives us an edge in terms of yardage lines. So Najee is one of my top 5 bets of the week. All right. We've got a couple more to go. Let's go to Kansas City, where the Chiefs are playing the Bengals. The Chiefs are 6.5-point home favorites. The Bengals are plus 240 on the money line, and the total is 43.5. Before we go on, I do want to point out my Degenerates Gambit long shot play of the week was a Pittsburgh win. Anyways, Waleed, tell us about Cincy and KC.
I think this is a Patrick Mahomes bounce back game. That 266.5 over I love it. Patrick Mahomes is from a usage model based on matchup. This is my number one quarterback play of the week. Yeah, I'm going out there. I'm going out on a limb and saying Patrick Mahomes, he might be good, guys.
What?
But if you've been watching football this year, he hasn't always been. But I think this is a week where he's going to murder. In my top 5 bet of the week, there are 2 guys that I really like this week. I do like Travis Kelce, but I went with Rashee Rice over 64.5 receiving yards. He's my number 4 receiver of the week from a pure usage and matchup standpoint. So I'm here for it.
Okay. Ryan?
That covers me in this game.
Okay. I like the Chiefs to win in this game. I also agree with Waleed. A guy I really like this week is Rashee Rice. And I think Patrick Mahomes is going to get his over as well. Like right now, let's see, the Bengals are given like the 9th or 10th most fantasy points per game to wide receivers. And over the past 5 games, they're averaging 10 targets to wide receivers. So I like Rashee Rice in this game. His line right now, 64.5. I like that. I might even be inclined to take his reception over at 5.5. And guys, to point out, okay, so this is what Patrick Mahomes' 6th season, right? 5th or
Something like
6th
that.
season. Yeah.
Something like
So
that, yeah.
so he needs to throw for 329 pass yards to pass up Len Dawson for the most passing yards in Chiefs franchise history, and this is only his 6th season. That record is
If
only
you know the
28.
history of quarterbacks drafted by Kansas City, that doesn't
Yeah.
surprise you at all.
It's kind of like the Bears. It's only 28,000 yards.
Yeah.
So which is not a lot in franchise history and NFL history. Um, but and that's like a modest, like Patrick Mahomes game, 320 plus yards. I think he has a chance to do that this game. Um, do we know if Jamar Chase is playing? It's still questionable, right?
He does have a
Questionable.
lineup, so I think that's usually a good sign. But the
That is
line is at
true.
59.5, which I kind of feel like that's
I
almost
think they,
worth taking the over just
yeah,
because. But then
they
again, what
might.
if he plays and he's just a decoy?
Right, exactly, like they did with DJ Moore last week. But so maybe Boyd's line at 32.5, like might be really good. Um, so, but other than that, I don't have too much in this game. I know Tony's got
I do
some
want to
stuff
point
in
out
this
one thing
game.
because I do have my same game parlay from this game. I went full on Rashee Rice. I went his adjusted line at 90 yards, adjusted
Ooh,
receptions
wow.
at 7, and a touchdown. $10 at plus 413 will pay out $51.32. I do think like this is right in line with my projections for him. So I'm actually pretty
Sure.
excited about this bet. I like this bet more than my other same game parlay. I think this is the one more likely to hit.
Okay. I have my parlay is in this game as well. Being that Cincinnati gives up the most receiving yards to tight ends, and being that Kansas City needs a win, you got to admit, as much as we hate the fact from a labor perspective that they've extended the season an extra week and they decreased the number of bye weeks, they're making week 17 super interesting.
Yeah, they are.
Because Kansas City needs to win if they want to have a chance to stay with that opportunity to get that 1 seed and some home field advantage in the playoffs. And Cincinnati is a team that Kansas City kind of hates, so I think this is going to be a blood feud matchup here. Bengals are last in average EPA allowed to tight ends. Kelsey's still second among tight ends in targets per route run, target share, air yard share, receiving yards, and expected fantasy points per game. I think this is a huge, huge, huge Travis Kelce week. So my parlay that I got to plus 260 was Kelce over his receiving yards line at 63.5, a Travis Kelce anytime touchdown, and Kansas City's money line. $10 would win me 36. So I love Kelce this week. If Kelce can't do it against this matchup, I don't know if he can still do it anymore.
Yeah, that's kind of that's one of the things I was about to say is this is really kind of a litmus test for how I feel about Travis Kelce going forward because this is a very good matchup, but like he has been underwhelming and he needs to if he wants to prove he's still the guy and not like lose the crown to Sam Laporta, he's got to show up this week.
I think I also like CEH this week, in DFS especially. Since week 10, Cincinnati has allowed 5 running backs to go over 15 half PPR points. 3 of those have gone over 20. Since week 10, they've allowed 10 rushing touchdowns and the 9th most rushing yards. So CEH is pretty much a free square. You can do CEH and Zamir White on FanDuel and pay the fuck up everywhere else. So, food for thought. So yeah, Kelsey is my play in this game. All right. We are going Chargers and Broncos next up. The Broncos 3.5-point home favorites with the battle between Jared Stidham and Easton Stick. What do you think, boys? How exciting!
Those sound
guys,
like
I'm not betting on
alternate
this
universe names going against each other. Like, if you were to tell me that Easton Stick and this Stidham guy were arch rivals from other like multiverses, I would believe you.
I honestly, when you were listening to that, I threw up my mouth a little bit.
I'm not betting on this game at all.
This is what happens when you start a franchise in Madden and you simulate 10 years.
Oh my god! The names
are the type of quarterbacks
generators, the name generators, and they're like, it's like all white guys for some reason.
So Ryan, you say you have nothing in this game?
No, I don't want to bet.
There
on
was
this
only
game at all.
one bet that catches my eye this game, and that's Gerald Everett over 43.5 receiving yards because the Broncos are really bad at defending tight ends, and let's be honest, who else are they going to throw to? like backup quarterbacks like tight ends, and also everyone else that's a receiver kind of sucks. So it's a nice little matchup. If I do well on my early slate, I'll probably throw $10 on that over. Other than that, I don't want anything to do with this game. This game sucks.
I have put $4 on Gerald Everett to go over 40.5 receiving yards. I love it. I love this play. Hang on, let me just write this down. $4. Okay, so Easton Stick, since he's come in, he's attempted 89 passes, and Everett has 20 of those targets.
That's a good target share.
It sounds like Palmer's not going to go, so his best options are going to be Gerald Everett and Quentin Johnston. Have you guys watched Quentin Johnston?
Wow, this is Jalen Guten erasure over here, is what I'm hearing.
He's so erased you can't even pronounce his name.
I know it's Guyton. I said it. I knew it once I said it. It was wrong. I don't care. We're Guten free over here. Right for me to say your name right.
I have a Guten intolerance. Gerald Everett has had 4 or more targets in 5 straight games. Over the last 5, Gerald Everett has averaged 5 catches for 41.8 yards, and he's got 8 or more targets in 3 straight games. Gerald Everett, ladies and gentlemen. He will, if anyone thinks that gambling is bad for society, just think about the fact that I could be spending time with my family instead of watching Chargers Broncos, okay? Like, you're monsters. All right, let's wrap this bad boy up. We've got the Packers and the Vikings on Sunday night. Nothing like watching the Packers lose on Sunday night to end the season. Minnesota, 1.5-point home favorites. Neither team, they have even money on the money line for this game, and the total's 43.5. Waleed, take us home.
I'll tell you what, that is Alexander Madison actually has a line, but Ty Chandler's line is 60.5. Never mind. I was like, that Ty Chandler line might be interesting. I'm not taking his line at that high. I don't care about this game, if I'm being honest, except that I hope that both. I don't know if I need the Packers to lose. I kind of want the Packers to win and still have playoff hope so the Bears can crush them. But at the same time, there's nothing in this game I'm interested in. It's going to be ugly. I do think Justin Jefferson over 83.5 receiving yards, though, might just be a solid play because who else do they have to throw to?
That's a good point.
And the fact is, the Packers' pass defense has been bad. Like, the Packers' defense has been bad. Like, the only thing that makes me nervous is Jaron Hall, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if I trust that. Even though I liked his college tape, if I'm being honest. But he was a guy I liked after a couple of years of sitting. And he's not getting that chance. So
All right. What do you have, Ryan?
Just Jaden Reed.
Yeah.
I like his reception over at 4.5.
Yes.
I like his yards, 53.5. That's gonna be a Jaden Reed game. I really don't know what else to think about this game. Um, yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna really use money on is Jaden Reed.
Okay. I love Jaden Reed this week. Watson and Wicks are both potentially out. Reed has 49 first read targets this season. Minnesota blitzes at the highest rate in the league, and Jaden Reed leads Green Bay in targets when they are blitzed.
Ooh, that's
Um,
a good.
the slot cornerback for Minnesota, Josh Metellus, is 35th among slot cornerbacks in catch rate allowed. 87% of his targets are caught. Um,
Really?
he is worst among slot cornerbacks in yards per coverage snap. He's second worst in explosive plays allowed. Jaden Reed leads his team in target rate and fantasy points per route run against zone. So give me Jaden
Okay.
Reed. I also, something that Shane brought up during the TH Fantasy recording last night, and that, by the way, is live on all your podcast streaming services as we speak, is what's his name? Jaron Hall's rushing over at 25.5. Jaron Hall
Ooh.
ran like crazy. He had 6 rushes in that first game before he got rocked at the goal line and taken out with a concussion. So if you want to put some money on Jaron Hall's over at 25.5, I'm going to deposit here in a little bit, and I think I'm going to do one bet on Jaden Reed, and I'm going to do a bet on Jaron Hall as well. So I like both of those
Okay.
plays. So yeah, those are that's what I like from this game. So we have finished. Let's go through our shit. Since I am the commissar of Gambletown, I will read my top 5 bets of the week first. The Royal Decree. Kyron Williams over 91.5 rushing yards. Bijan Robinson over 22.5 receiving yards. DeAndre
Yeah.
Swift over 66.5 rushing yards.
Yeah.
Najee Harris over 52.5 rushing yards. Christian McCaffrey over 90.5 rushing yards.
Yeah.
All running backs. Let's see. Ryan, why don't you tell us your top 5 bets of the week?
All right, guys. My top 5 bets of the week. I got Big Ferg at over 4.5 receptions. I got a big CMC game over 90.5 rushing yards. I got the Tampa Bay New Orleans game going over 42.5 total points.
Woo.
I got Devontae Adams going over 5.5 receptions.
Yeah.
And I got Trey McBride going over 6.5 receptions.
You don't like Devontae Adams, Josh? That was a different sound.
He's old. I don't want to scare him.
So, all
Wally,
right,
what do you got?
my top 5 bets of the week. I got Kyron Williams over 91.5 rushing yards. I got CeeDee Lamb over 98.5 receiving yards.
No.
I got Rashee Rice over 64.5 receiving yards.
Yeah.
Evan Ingram over 48.5 receiving yards, and Rashad White over 62.5 rushing yards.
Okay. Waleed Parlay Master, why don't you tell us more?
All right,
About your
I got two same game parlays. I juiced them a little bit because I want to take advantage of the promotion FanDuel has with those touchdowns. I got Kyron Williams over 110 rushing yards, Kyron over 2.5 receptions, and Kyron over 15.5 receiving yards. If you can find somewhere, if they get that adjusted Kyron line, I would actually recommend taking 10 yards off of that rushing over to make it up 100 and 20 yards receiving if you can make that happen to get similar odds. I think that's the better bet, but I had to work with what they gave me, unfortunately. I also have Rashee Rice over 7 receptions, over 90 yards, and a touchdown.
Okay.
And that bet I put $10 at plus 413 to make $51.32. The Kyron bet I forgot to say the odds. I did $10 at plus 403 to pay $50.40. So I got 2 pretty strong parlays here.
All right. Ryan.
All right, my parlays this week. My money line parlay: Buffalo, LA Rams, Frisco, Jacksonville, and Philly. Put all 5 of those together. That's plus 187 because they're the heavy favorites. I put 10 units down to win 28.77. And then my same game parlay, I did McBride's over 6.5 receptions. a Jalen Hurts tush push touchdown, and AJ Brown's over 84.5 receptions came out to plus 336. $10 down on that is 43.65.
Okay. My parlays this week: Travis Kelce over 63.5 receiving yards, an anytime touchdown, and a Kansas City money line. $10 down at plus 260 would get me 36.02 back. My second parlay: Christian McCaffrey over 90.5 rushing yards, a Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown, and a San Francisco 49ers minus 14 point spread. $10 down at plus 208 got me 30.81 back. Millionaire bets. Daddy goes first. At $18.77, I'm putting that in on Sam Laporta's over 4.5 receptions at minus 130, would get me 33.21. Ryan, as our previous chancellor, why don't you go ahead and tell us what your bet is this week?
This is going to be another CMC 3 touchdown week at plus 550 to get me back into the game.
All right, Waleed.
I got Kyron Williams at plus two, two touchdowns at plus 410. $10 will make me $51. If CMC has 3 touchdowns, I won't rule. But if Kyron has 2 touchdowns and CMC just misses, I can take over Gambletown. If your God Emperor will be back.
All right, so let's talk about our DFS plays of the week. Waleed, tell us who your quarterback play of the week is.
My quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. This is the Patrick Mahomes bounce back week. I don't mind paying up because I think he is going to make me some money.
Okay, Ryan.
This one's tough, guys. It's between Baker and Carr for me. But what I ended up doing for this lineup this week, I went with Carr.
Okay,
Get out
Carr.
of my dreams and into my car.
I am going to make my original play was CJ Stroud, or now it's CJ Stroud because Derek Carr is taken. Waleed, your running back.
My running back is the number 1 betting play of the week. I love everything about Kyron Williams, and I am paying up for him because he's going to win.
Okay, Ryan.
I'm paying up for Christian McCaffrey. He's gold this week. I don't care that he's 11,000 on DFS. He's going to get 40 points. So
Okay. My 2 plays were Kyron Williams and Christian McCaffrey in that order. So I am going to go with DeAndre Swift.
DeAndre Swift is a great one. I think for a couple of cheap plays, I like to point out here, I love Zamir White. I love Chuba Hubbard. I think both of those are, from usage and cost standpoints, they're just great values.
I like
Sure.
CEH as well.
Yeah.
All right. So Waleed, your wide receiver.
Well, I got to pair up Patrick Mahomes with someone, and since Rashee Rice is my number 4 receiver on the week, I am going with him.
All right. Ryan.
since I'm using Carr in this lineup, I'm going Olave.
Okay. I have my play. It's funny because my quarterback play of the week changed, but my receiver play of the week stays the same. Nico Collins.
Yeah.
Okay.
Waleed, your tight end.
This my top tight end of the week is Evan Ingram, and that's who I want to pay up for. But if I try to go cheap, I'm going Chigaconquo.
Okay. Ryan.
I didn't use him in this lineup because I didn't want too much exposure, but I guess I could too. Juwan Johnson. I'm going with my TH Fantasy mid-tier kind of shitty tight ends of the week. Juwan Johnson and Tommy Tremble.
Juwan Johnson. Okay, I'm going with Travis Kelce. Shocking nobody.
No, that's a good choice.
Waleed, your fantasy defense, please.
So my fantasy defense, my number 1 fantasy defense of the week is the Los Angeles Rams.
Ooh.
Okay.
This week, I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Raiders in hopes that they get that other touchdown.
Okay.
And they're only 3,900 too.
Yep, that was who my play is. So let me pivot real quick. You know what? I don't. I'm gonna go. Let's see if I can go even cheaper. You know what? Here you go. 3,400. The Carolina Panthers.
Ooh, wow. Yeah, if you're gonna take them to win, yeah. Why
That's
not?
a solid play. I also want to point out my number 2 fantasy defense of the week is the Chicago Bears.
Shocking. Oh my God.
Yep. I'm staying consistent, but to be fair, they're also over the last 4 weeks they are a top 3 fantasy defense. They scored double-digit points on average.
Sure.
True.
As the current czar, I'm going to go first and go through my DFS lineup for our tournament. I also entered it in the Millie tournament because I felt really good about it. I am going Derek Carr at quarterback, Kyron Williams, Najee Harris, Nico Collins, Rashid Shaheed, Darius Slayton as a penny pinch play, Travis Kelce at tight end, Chuba Hubbard at my flex, and the Raiders defense at 3,900.
Nice. Let's see.
You got your lineup yet, or do you want me to go, Ryan?
No, I just had to pull it up again. My lineup is Derek Carr at quarterback, CMC, Najee Harris, Devontae Adams, Noah Brown, Chris Olave, Tommy Tremble, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and the Raiders D.
All right.
All right.
So what I got going here, I got Patrick Mahomes, I got Kyron Williams, I got Zamir White, I got Rashee Rice, DeAndre Hopkins, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Gerald Everett, Chuba Hubbard, and the Rams defense.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a fire
All right.
lineup, I think.
So, anything else?
I think I'm
I
good.
think so. I got a good feeling about this week, guys. I think we're going to do good. It's redemption.
I'm feeling really good about this week. I can't wait to do a couple of
May the
do an
redraft
8
odds
leg
ever
1,000.
be in your favor.
Yeah. I'm definitely gonna take some of our top 5 bets of the week and make an 8-leg parlay because I think that there's some money to be
Yeah.
had.
Yeah, I do that for like $1 every week. I take a lot of our
Oh,
stuff.
I'm doing a
yeah.
$10 one that'll pay out like 3,000 because why the hell?
Oh my
not?
God. Why not? Yeah.
Let's hope Monty gets 3 touchdowns tonight, guys.
I would
Oh,
love
man.
for Montgomery to get 3 touchdowns because that will do a lot for me. And David Montgomery is a great matchup this week. You got Montgomery and Kyron. I would feel so good about that in my fantasy.
And White.
That's who you have, Josh?
Yeah, Kyron
And
Williams.
Zamir White?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
Yeah. And I had I've been riding Mostert. So Mostert's I'm sitting Mostert because I don't trust the touchdown production against Baltimore. But
Totally
yeah.
get it.
So it
Yeah.
should be
All right,
pretty
guys.
good either way. But
But who do you go with? Well, you picked up Zamir White, right? So it's between Zamir White and Ty Chandler, right?
well, it's gonna be Zamir White because Jacobs is doubtful.
Yeah, if Jacobs is out, I think Zamir White is absolutely the play.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's it. Good luck in your fantasy championships if you're in them. Good luck with the lines of ours that you followed. Good luck to you, Wally. Good luck to you, Ryan. Good luck to you, Josh. We'll see you guys next week for one of our last 2. Thank you.
Time to make our money back, guys.
Let's go
Oh, yeah.
because I'm broke.
All right.
Yeah.